Hey, and welcome to the Reset Podcast. Everything you need to know that your therapist probably never told you. Researched by experts, real life experiences. This is Reset. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Reset Podcast. We are so glad that you're here today.
Do you know what's made our marriage, I would say, on fire this past year that we've implemented?
What?
The check-in meeting.
The weekly check-ins?
Every Sunday, we get together and we go through our calendar for the week. We go through when's our date night going to be. We go through, we're going to have some, wreck your marriage when you're going to do some recreational intimacy. We look at better ways for us to help and love each other this week and out serve each other in areas in which we need it. And we also look at parenting, areas in which we could better lean in with our kids. Then, of course, we can look at the week before and be like, how do we do? How did we do?
How did we do? And then, of course, the things like, hey, I have a meeting this day, or I have coffee this day. I'm done working at this time. It just helps us know what the day is going to look like and what to expect from each other.
I was thinking we used to do this like once a month. And it'd be like the once a month, we go over the whole budget, how we do financially, how we do this, with our marriage and all that kind of stuff. And then you realize once a month is just too far apart. There's a lot of stuff that happened in that 30 days, in that 4 weeks. And I think us doing it weekly has really increased, I think, our intimacy in all levels, because we also started talking more about, okay, what days are we going to have physical intimacy? What days are we going to really connect and do things that we know are needed to nourish our marriage?
Like a date night.
Like a date night, right. And so what I realize is that once a week, it kind of gets us on fire for the whole week. We don't think about, okay, what do you want in our head? I'm assuming you need this. I'm assuming you need that. What happens is we actually get into this area where we start the week totally on the same page, able to, as we say, be yoked together. We will be able to walk, same pace, same direction, the same goals for the week. And I say this past year is eliminated, I would say, a lot of just friction, arguments, debates, lectures from each other.
Yeah, I think I had said this, a little bit earlier about the expectations. What it does is if I know he's going to be working late one night, I already know that. So I know I'm going to pretty much be solo putting the kids to bed. So I'm not going to be frustrated from finding out an hour before that he's still not off. To little things like, I get up in the morning and I'm doing my little routine and he's already up and ready to go. I'm like, where are you going right now? But I already know he has his chiropractor appointment at 7 a.m. Like, it sounds silly, but the expectations are already all set. So it helps avoid frustration. It helps avoid problems before they start. Like you always say, you want to be what is it?
You want to be crisis control. No. Crisis prevention versus crisis control.
Yes. So before something could happen, try as best you can to communicate. And I think for a lot of people, this can be difficult for many reasons. One being, I know we have this romantic, theoretical thing in our mind of our spouse should know how to love us. Everything should be spontaneous. We should just be so romantically in tuned. He should know all my needs. She should know all my needs. Well, we all know that communication is what fixes all of that. So when you come together every week, you say, hey, I'm really feeling like we did not connect conversationally this week. So for me, that's a big deal. Or he says, we did not connect physically this week. We talk about it and say like, hey, how can I help better serve you in this area? And give an opportunity to apologize if something needs to be apologized for, because there will be things that happen in the week. And because a lot of us have a lot of things going on, something happened, you don't have full time to resolve it. So you can say, hey, when you did this, it made me feel like this. And you can resolve those things at the end of the week if they haven't been resolved yet. Obviously, try to resolve them as they come. But I think the communication of my needs weren't being met, or I didn't feel loved because whatever that is, that's what helps keep your marriage healthy and alive and thriving.
Well, it eliminates what you're saying is a foothold in your marriage. That's something that's so minor can grab a hold of it and grow into something that's dysfunctional or unhealthy just because it hasn't been talked about or been resolved, whatever it may be. I would tell you, I think we were talking about something called calendar intimacy.
That's interesting.
Did we just create a new intimacy on the board of intimacies within relating to others?
I think it's more expectational intimacy.
Well, I was going to say, and this is what I've been fighting on for years in our marriage, is the amount of times you wanted to bring up a calendar. And then we tried different things. We tried the Google Calendar, and then we tried to do other specialty apps out there. But then we came back to, which we talked about before, the old school calendar. And the old school calendar still works, and I love. And here's what I realized about the calendar that I didn't even think about because I was fighting it for how many years, God knows, is if it's written down and exists in a calendar, I would say probably 98% of the time we get it done. And 98% of the time we do it, and our week is, for me, which I like, it's very, how can I put it? Fruitful? Is that the good way to put it?
Yeah, you like checking off those things.
I do. As an overachiever, that's what I love to do. And so I was thinking in my head, like, we started putting in our calendar more stuff for us to be on page with. Like, for example, when we're working out together, what workout we're going to do, what day are we going to sleep in and maybe catch up on some sleep if we're overwhelmed? Like outside of just like the big stuff, like date nights and kids events and that kind of stuff, we started putting down when we're waking up, when we're going to be doing our journaling, at what time we're going to even go to bed. Like things like that, we started adding our calendar. Because I think about when we first started, our calendar's like very minimal. It's like just the normal 30-day squared calendar, like from Hallmark. And now, I don't know, is that Hallmark have it? Where are they from?
Oh my God.
But now we're kind of into, I don't think we're in the calendar. I think we're into what they call the daily planner.
Welcome. But we have separate calendars. I do want to say this. It's not like we have one calendar. We're writing all this down. You write it down in your daily planner. I write it down in my daily planner.
Yes,
same thing.
Right. But we began with the single calendar.
Okay.
And I think the reason why we did this, if I remember correctly, because we watched the first episode of Modern Family when they had the calendar in the kitchen. And so we saw that calendar, like, we need that in our kitchen. And then we realized it really wasn't being used because we really didn't look at it much until we had our own calendar or daily planner and sat down and do it. Is when we actually got the results that we were looking for.
Yes, a lot of people have family calendars in a communal space so that everybody can look at it. I even know people who, I actually think your sister does this, color-coded of,
Sick.
picking up this
So
kid
sick.
on this. Do you say sick?
So sick. Color coordinated.
Cool sick or like?
Well, that's true. I don't know. You know what? For the person that
No,
does
but
it,
everybody,
cool sick.
Everybody's organization levels are different. Also, everybody connects to something differently. A lot of people are going to like that family calendar on the refrigerator. For us, we have found, especially when it just comes to us, our kids are only, 6 and 9 right now. So I'm sure when they get more busy too in high school and stuff, we're going to probably have something that they can look at as well.
And I think that's when we start getting to that next level where when the kid turns 12, we give him a daily planner for his 12th birthday. I'm joking around. Can you imagine we give him a daily planner? Our
Yeah.
kid may disown us at that point. But I think what we're trying to get to is something that has been eliminated. Like when you add something into your life, something is eliminated. When you add something into, let's say, even your marriage life, then certain things are eliminated. In this case, I think what's eliminated is confusion, mind reading from each other, expectations that are not being met, not being on time about certain things, not prioritizing the aspect of our different intimacies that we desire, our ability to plan and recognize that the calendar dictates our behaviors. Our calendar dictates really so much of our life, not just having our emotions to dictate it, which I think was a big change that's been eliminated. So I think a lot of things are eliminated on the unhealthy side, and I would say even on the aspect of just the relational side that would be dysfunctional. We actually eliminated it very much so. And we've had times, look, we're not perfect in the last, year doing this. There were some moments where we probably had, 3 to 4 weeks we didn't meet and we saw the unraveling, not prioritizing date nights where we felt distant. And then there's an increase then of just arguing or disagreeing. And we just felt lost. There's times when we didn't even make it to shows, to tickets that we bought.
Yeah.
Because if we couldn't plan ahead of time for it, Or even our kids miss a couple birthday parties that were like, oh, is that today? And we realized we had to get back to it just because we get to a certain family, I don't know, situation or level as a family where it's so needed. And I just fought it for so long. And I realized after today when we did it, I'm like, this is good. I love calendar intimacy. It brings us together.
It does. Well, and I think what brought us back on this, we had strayed away from it for a while, was actually COVID, because we had this interesting new schedule with the kids being home and then you working from home. That's where we got back in, where we were meeting weekly instead of monthly. And that's where, gosh, it's already 2022. So 2 years doing this where, like you said, there's times where, we have gone astray a little bit and we're like, whoa, that's why we feel out of rhythm. And we can actually identify that. Hey, we didn't meet last week or the week before because we had something we need to reprioritize, because we know this is really important for us. And I also think of journaling. As you're talking right now, I've never thought of it this way until right now. But a lot of what we tell our, clients is, we want you to write things down so they get done. You need to write things out so they get processed. Well, a big thing with planning and a planner or a calendar is when you are writing that down, it's adding another part to remembering it. It's adding another part to looking every week then at what you have. It's written down. It's there for you to see. I've had to learn, the more things I write down, I remember. And then sometimes I'll add alarms on my phone to remember it even more so. And so I just also want to encourage you. It's a little bit, would you say that as a therapist? A little bit of that same principle of writing things out makes you actually accomplish that task.
Well, I think it's a good point. When you journal, you're processing your thoughts and your emotions. And I think when you have a calendar, in many ways, you're processing what? Your routine. You're processing what you want to prioritize. You're putting actually some energy and effort intentionally towards something, which means that it will most likely either occur or it will happen. And so it allows you to have perspective.
This is the part of our show where we talk about our opinions on the things that we observe. Observe and then respond. Don't worry, you cannot be wrong. It's all about the way that your mind works. Observation feedback. We just celebrated 4th of July. And with 4th of July brings
fireworks. And I call firework people. Man, that was pretty insane yesterday. To be part of a neighborhood that has retired military, is that the way? I guess so. Man, these guys go all out on fireworks. And by the way, there is zero caution.
I was going to say zero fear. Yeah.
They are next to these massive fireworks. They didn't care.
Like mortars. We're talking about the ones that explode into the air.
Yes, and and it was wild. It was wild because we're not used to that, and we were like, our kids were the furthest kids away, while the military kids were literally in harm's way. Like, they were in the trenches.
I got this, Dad. I'll catch any of the embers.
Yes, and so they come in, like I said, with mortars and these great air fireworks, and then we came in with our sparklers. And that's the type of family we are. We are a sparkler family. I think we're born and raised on sparklers, especially from California. And then when you get these, you get in these neighborhoods, these pockets of neighborhoods of retired military. I thought they were going to bring out the tanks. And
they did have a baby little one firework.
They did. They did a baby tank firework that was kind of a dud. But man, they got, one of them was called Top Maverick, not Top Gun, Top Maverick. I thought that was good publicity for the movie,
The biggest observational feedback I came away with was, I guess my brother used to do these, but I don't remember the mortars, like the single shot one, when he did it. I did not realize, being so close, how loud it was, and like you feel it in your body.
Well, and you realize there's some dads that are there, because all the dads and the wives kind of, I think, separate. Some dads, they just don't care. And then you got some dads, like I said, they were involved. They brought boxes of it. I don't know what's going on in their childhood that they feel like they had to bring boxes and boxes of fireworks. The best part about it was we burned them all out, right? We got no more fireworks. And one of the dads says, wait, they're open till midnight. Let me go drive down and get more. I think to myself, why? How much more do we need? And so, I just think the fact is, 4th of July is great and the fireworks is awesome. But man, I did not realize when you get into this little town with retired military, I mean, we don't need to go. We need to go. We do not need to go to the lake for fireworks anymore on the 4th. We literally have, Bobo down the street who's got just a garage full of them, just waiting for his moment. That's the thing. This was his moment to shine. I think every year he probably waits for July. He's also the guy in July 3rd that has to probably throw a little bit out there on July 3rd night just to test it. I mean, he's probably the guy we heard. And then July 4th comes, the pallet comes out.
One of the neighbors offered their house as the hub, and that's where we did the fireworks and stuff. And a lot of us brought a bunch of different food, and I have always loved 4th of July, and I think I forgot how much I loved it, where everyone's bringing food, everyone's laid back. It's this hot, muggy summer night. Kids are running around in their bathing suits through sprinklers and slip and slides, and just connecting with your neighbors and in your neighborhood, and just this beautiful community event. We celebrate our nation becoming free together as a community, and it's a beautiful holiday.
And I crossed that line where I used to make fun that guy at 4th of July, and I'll explain. And I became that guy yesterday, and I'm really ashamed about it. Everyone brought hot dogs. All the dads, they brought hot dogs. And every time you have these 4th of July parties, everyone brings hot dogs, and there's always that one guy that instead of bringing the hot dogs, he brings his smoked meat that he talks about for hours that he smoked, and on and on. He just, how can I put it? He tries to.
He's a braggart.
Yeah. Well, guess who brought the smoked meat to the hot dog party yesterday?
Joe Jardine.
That is right. And everyone brought the hot dogs, and then I come in with the smoked brisket to just show the dads, come on,
It's a fan favorite.
Yes. And of course, everyone loved it. And of course, I talked about how long you smoked before, and instantly the dads were like, yes, and what wood did you use, and things like that. So I literally became the guy that I kind of used to make fun of at these 4th of July parties, which maybe that's just kind of the age I'm at right now. I'm going from the guy to that guy.
I think we just, as we get older, become the people that we used to make fun of because now we're older.
Yes. And I also was the guy who wore pants on a 99 degree, 100 humidity. And I told myself I've never wear pants on days like that. You're right.
He's scared of the bugs.
I am. I'm scared of the bugs. I finally becoming that guy. You know what? It was great.
So we all hope you had a safe, happy 4th, enjoyed food, friends, and fireworks. Now back to the show.
I also think it's important in this calendar, like we try to do, is where are we going to put self-care in? And when are we going to allow ourselves to insert self-care into our lives? And when you're able, you could really avoid burnout by having that calendar as an opportunity to insert that on a daily or weekly basis. I was thinking about with my premarital couples I work with, the workbook that we use has this concept of once a quarter to meet kind of what we're talking about. And I was thinking in my head is ever since we started doing this, one thing I changed about that chapter is going back to the once a week and really explaining it to them. And I got a text today, or actually it was yesterday, but I saw it today, from a couple that I did premarital counseling with this past year. And they just wrote they took a picture of their calendar and sent it to me saying, doing our weekly meeting. And I was thinking to myself, they're 25, 24 years old, and they're starting that now before they have kids, before they really jump into the more busy part of their career, and how much that is such a great habit. And I was thinking for our kids know when it's, our meeting time. Mm-hmm. And one time we actually had a meeting with them, which they love to be part of the meeting in the office. But I was thinking how much we're modeling for them, for their future spouse, about how to lead, or even just how to lean in and every week to each other and have these meetings and make it just part of our family culture. Hopefully that'd be part of their family culture. I think it's just a great tool and strategy
Yes.
just for life in general, that you don't have to wait until you're even married. I was thinking about a lot of my clients who are in the business world and they're lacking motivation or they're lacking certain sense of organization. Is I have them do the same thing every Sunday that to plan out their week, and we only live really 1 week at a time with them. So they know Sunday is the day they look at their week. They put in when they're going to work out, when they're going to go to sleep, when they're going to wake up. They look at when they're going to do their self-care. They put in the hours they're going to do their emails. They put in, like, the more detail in so many ways, the better it is. And you realize you fight it. Like me, I fight because I don't like being told where to go or control. But then you realize how much we are made for routine, discipline. And then when you have that, you go from, let's say, insecurity to security in your weekly life.
Also, planning out everything in advance gives you room for margin. Because what was happening before is a lot of times you had talked to some of your guys, I talked to some of my gals, and we would plan our weekend separately and realize we're going to be out Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night with a Sunday lunch or something. And we did not have any margin to be spending with just us and our kids, just us and family, or a date night for us. So when you are intentional, you're also showing your family that they're a priority, your spouse or your children. So we have realized for us personally that we, as much as we can, want one night where we are home with just us and our kids. Pizza and a movie night, or pizza, movie, games, pizza and games, where we are pouring into just them. And we're not going to friend's house with them, which is still fun, but just making sure that there's that margin to kind of play with.
Well, and I think it's easier for you to say no to, for people have a hard time saying no in life. And so then they become maybe in their calendar like a people pleaser, where they say yes to everything. They feel burnt out, tired, they have a hard time saying no. It is so much easier saying no when you have your week planned out and someone says, hey, do you want to do A, B, and C? No, I'm sorry, actually, I already have it on my calendar. I got to do this. Or on my schedule for this week, I actually, during that time, I have this already set up. People are really okay with that word no when it involves around you using the word like calendar or in my schedule already, or I already planned this. It makes it a little bit easier. But also for those who struggle with like saying the word no, they're more just a people pleaser and they have a hard time with the margin or boundaries that you're talking about. The calendar then, once again, it dictates your behaviors. It dictates how your day or week's going to be. Now, it doesn't mean you don't have spontaneity or options or
well, that's where the margin is.
Yeah, it's available for interruptions. But I do think it's like if something comes up that is getting in the way of our, let's say, date night. Usually Thursday night is our date night. And for some reason, something that gets in like we have to do that instead, or I have to do that, you have to do that instead. We just move the date night to a different night on the calendar. And so there is flexibility there, obviously. Mm-hmm. But in the majority of the time, I would say, is rarely do we ever move things because it sticks within our desired lifestyle.
Yes, or date morning because that didn't work, or date lunch or something, a space where we're connecting just us. The great thing is, if you're a people pleaser, you can blame the calendar, right? My husband and I already planned, yada, yada. Even if it's just you home with your kids, I think sometimes we feel like that's not a good enough reason to go somewhere. Why though? If you had on your calendar you're going to a friend's house with your kids, that would take priority. So being home with your husband and kids, that is a priority. That is important. So you can kind of use, your calendar as a little bit of the bad guy if you're afraid of, which again, we need to learn just to be able to say no. But it helps a little bit to be like, no, yeah, we already planned something.
Yeah, I was thinking about, I have some of my clients that say when their feedback is they look at the calendar for the week and they feel overwhelmed and they say the calendar is stress provoking and it stresses them out. And so my response back to them is it's not the calendar that's stressing them out, it's stress provoking. It's actually that routine that week, the scheduling for that week. And so if you look at your week and you think it's just too stressful, it's probably because it is too stressful.
Yeah, remove what you can.
Right. And so if maybe the great indicator is that you have a healthy week is when you look at your week and you feel excited or you feel comfortable, more comfortable than stressed, right? And that you have the ability to look at your week and feel good. I can accomplish it. If you're looking at your weekly calendar and you feel, man, this is way too much, it stresses me out. Once again, not the calendar stressing you out. It's really is that routine that you set up or the things that you said yes to. And so clean up the calendar is a great way to avoid that sense of feeling burnout. But also, once again, the calendar is giving you in so many ways like a map.
It's like, I was just going to say it's like the compass.
It's the compass that's really showing you maybe I do need to change up some things
take
here
some
and say
stuff
no
out
to things or turn things around, push things back.
Well, and you can learn from it. I've been in situations where I've had like 4 appointments in 1 week without realizing it because I didn't, again, write it down right when the appointment came. But then when I was looking at the week coming up, I also will put things in my phone. And then that week of is when I always write it down in my planner. And I realize, oh my gosh, I have 4 appointments this week. That's so stressful to me on top of this, and this, and this. So yes, I had to go to all those appointments because they were on the books for a while. And then I learned I need to be way more intentional when I make my appointments. That's just for me personally. You'll learn too through, wow, that was a stressful week. Look back. Why was it stressful? Did I go out too many nights? Did I have too many appointments? Was I overworking myself? Did I not have any time for my family or myself? And you can reevaluate. And the nice thing is, I want to circle back real quick. When you have things that are pretty much like a set day, your friends and family and community begins to know that. Oh, the Jardines can't come out on Thursday because that's their date night. Or, Fridays when they try to spend time with their kids, or Saturday nights when they have pizza and a movie, whatever it is. Not saying that sometimes if it's a really big birthday party or something important, again, we can change our plans. That's okay. This just helps set you up for success for the week.
That's a great point. It's kind of funny. I think when you do this correctly, friends around you and family around you actually know more of they get used to your routine. They get used to your calendar and they start speaking to your calendar. They're like, oh yeah, you guys can't do that because of this and that. I know we have some people who are probably give us direction. Give us concretely what daily planner do you guys use? And I would say after having lots of failures, we found one that we like and that we use. If you're interested, DM us or contact us through our website and we'll send you a link through Amazon that would point to it that we use that we feel like works really well and that we enjoy how it's laid out specifically to go through a daily to a weekly routine as a marriage couple.
So yeah, reach out to us, DM us on Instagram or send us an email through theresetgroup.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Reset Podcast. We're so glad that you joined us. If you enjoyed this episode, would you take a moment to leave us a review and maybe even hit that subscribe or follow button? Also, pay it forward by sharing this podcast with a friend. For free resources and to learn more about coaching for individuals, athletes, couples, and teams, go to theresetgroup.com. And we would love to connect with you on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok @The Reset Group. See you soon.